also don't understand how if I was a girl, how to have sex,
Yeah, that's just
because
wild.
it's just insane. Also, I think like on a little lighter note, and going back to, we just had some deep thoughts, but going back to it,
Hashtag deep thoughts with Anthony.
um, I feel like guys, hey, I'm have to probably bleep this out.
Uh-huh.
Guys, girls get,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and that's why people like, oh, why is it guys are not hoes and girls are hoes?
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I agree with it. Now, is it fair? No, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
But this is nasty now.
Mm-hmm.
You inserting yourself into somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a guy, if you're a girl, something is going inside of you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
wild stuff.
It is crazy. Sorry, I just had to throw that out there. It's just
It's weird. It's I don't know. Knowing the other side of the coin, how do you sign up for that? I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
that would be I'm sure it gets easier,
Yeah.
but like the first time's got to be absolutely wild. Like,
Well, did you ever think about like what does it feel like for a girl having sex?
I can't imagine what it feels like to have something inside. I'm not aware of my insides.
Yeah.
My wife will be like, "Ooh, my left ovary hurts." I'm like, I don't know what that is or what that feels like. I have to pee sometimes, and my tummy hurts a little bit. But I think I think there's a lot of weird stuff about my body that I think is just a me thing.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, I just don't have that awareness of what happens inside. I'm just like, general discomfort, and she'll be like, "Ooh, my upper intestine." I'm like, how do you do that? like if her body was a map, she could be like, Highway 87, right there, the 13th mile marker. That's
Yeah.
the one giving me trouble. And I'm like, Georgia? I don't know. The South?
See, I don't either. And people was like, "Oh, my stomach hurt." My first thing is, "You need to go to the bathroom and poop."
Yeah,
Like that always makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much. And they'd be like, "No, it's a women problem." Oh, I can't help you out with that.
I still think that just feels like a tummy hurt because I've never experienced that. I just,
Yeah.
okay, tummy still hurt, I guess.
Well, then they got those electric things they can hook up to you,
Mhm.
or I guess
I
it's
wanted to try one of
pregnancy.
those.
I don't.
I want to see because I've my grandfather used to have some of those for well they weren't for that, but it was the electrodes you put on,
Mhm.
and then they would it was the craze isn't the right word, but you could work out without working out
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
it would just
Okay.
electrocute your muscles and they would tense up, and
Yep.
that would be like doing a sit up
And
or
it does
whatever.
work.
Yeah, I mean I was sore the next day. And I was like, how much more than that? Because I turned it up, and I was like, this is different because it was weird. Your muscles were contracting without you doing it, so
Yeah.
it just felt very alien. I was like, okay, how much more above that are the contractions? Or I want to see what it's like just to see what it's like because
Yeah.
I've never experienced that. I can't empathize. I'm like, okay, you having cramps? Okay, what is a cramp? I don't know what that is. Is that different than a stomach ache? Sometimes I have stomach aches and I really need to go poop.
Yeah.
Is that different? Is that like that for like
Well,
2
like
weeks?
a Charlie horse
Or
maybe
like,
in your stomach.
I don't know. I
think-
don't have a frame of reference for that. So like I would very much look forward to the machine just so I
You
could
want
know.
to try it? I
Yeah.
don't. Not at all. I don't want to. I don't want to feel what it feels like to birth a child. I don't.
Why not? I mean, you only have to
No.
do it once and you can turn it off. But then
I
if
don't
she's
wanna know.
like, I've got, X, I'm like, ooh, that's rough.
Mhm.
Or I'd be like, well, I'm sorry you are going through that.
Yeah.
That's not great. Suck it up. But I don't know that because I've never gone through it.
Right.
It could be like the most intense stomach pain I've ever experienced. But everybody has their own scales of pain too.
Right.
I could. What if they cranked it up and I'm like, that's a 4. Or
Yeah.
like, what if they do it? What if they crank it to a 4 and I'm like 11? I don't know what. I'm curious. I'm honestly curious what it would be like.
I don't know. The worst pain I ever felt was with my back when I had a herniated disc, and the doctor asks you those questions and like, what's whatever 1 to 10 or whatever, and I'm like, well, I can't judge it. This is the worst pain I ever felt, and I threw up in I threw up in my mouth. I literally cried. Now am I still alive and am I walking? Yes. So could it be worse? Yeah, no, absolutely. But
when I got my kidney stones, I still have them.
That's bad.
Oh, Jesus, that was the worst pain. Well, I guess it's tied for the worst pain I'd ever felt. I mean, there was no position that was comfortable. You know, sometimes I would get in a hot shower, it would do nothing. I would take, any pain medication I had at the house, nothing. And I don't normally like taking medication.
Yeah.
It would do nothing. So I went to the doctor after like 2 days. I mean, I couldn't sleep. Normally I'll sleep through anything. Toothache, okay, well, let me just lay down and I'll go to bed and I will sleep through it. I was up. I got like 30 minutes of sleep. I was just in so much pain all the time. It felt like I was just being stomped on my kidneys constantly by like several angry people.
Jeez.
And I go to the doctor and he did the little urine test. He's like, "Yep, you got kidney stones." I'm like, "What's the treatment, doc?" He's like, "You got insurance?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Well, then I'm gonna send you home, and you're gonna hope to pass them, or sometimes you won't." He's like, "You could pass them today, tomorrow, could be a year from now. You may never pass them. They could never bother you again. You'll never know." And I'm like, "Wonderful! I've got 2 ticking time bombs literally in my back." So fantastic for me.
So what can you do?
So if you have insurance, they can use ultrasound to break them up into little small parts where you'll just pass them, with relatively mild discomfort. Worst case scenario, I think they can surgically remove them. But if you don't have insurance, you're not doing any of that.
Dang.
So I've still got them in my back somewhere.
Really? Well, you can always get them more, right? Because it's like a calcium buildup or something like that in your kidneys.
I don't think they ever go away by themselves. Like, okay. I don't know. I'm not a urologist, I guess, or a nephrologist for the kidneys, I suppose.
I lied. I did thought about suicide before. It's with my back.
Oh, yeah.
When I was taking the medicine and it didn't seem like anything is happening, and I was like, in my head, I was like, I cannot go the rest of my life. I think that's the only time.
Chronic pain, people I think have a pretty high, rates of those kind of thoughts. Yeah. Just because you can't do that, every day of your life. Imagine your tooth wakes up, every single day of your life, your tooth hurts or something. Right. Like, you can't do that. That's not sustainable,
And I can see how people get addictive. When I was taking the medicine, it didn't change how it hurt, but it made me care less that it hurt. But the pain was still there. I
can say, because I've reason I don't like taking medicines because they never do anything for me. Like, the doctor gave me Vicodin. I'd pop up and I'm like, nope, not doing anything. It still hurts. And so, like, they gave me the prescription now, and I'm like, don't even bother. I'm not going to fill it. I mean, it's like children's aspirin. Every time I've ever been prescribed Percocet or something like that, everybody's like, ooh, that's the good stuff. I'm like, I don't care. Just throw it away.
I can too. My wife, sometimes, they give a prescription, and I'll take twice the amount of stuff because I figured, like, I'm a big guy. I'm 2 times as big as her, so I should take 2 times. Nothing. It wouldn't do. It would make me like. But the pain is still there.
I wouldn't even get I'd be like, I swear they're giving me sugar pills. Like,
really?
I just assumed they thought I was trying to get drugs out of them, and I was like, you're just gonna give me sugar pills anyway. I'm not gonna take them, doc. You sure it's gonna hurt a lot? It already hurts. I was like, I'll try it, but it's not gonna do nothing. And I go home and I take the Percocet, and I'm like, this is absolutely nothing. I am in still agonizing pain. Don't spend the money next time. I'm just gonna bite through it. But my other one was, I got cat scratch fever when I was younger.
I don't even know what it is.
I thought it was just a song from the 80s. But it's a bacteria that lives in cats' nails if you don't clean their litter box enough.
Oh,
and and so you get it by getting scratched by the cat. And so I'm going to the doctor. I got this little blind spot in my eye. It doesn't really affect my vision, but I notice that if I close one eye, I can make some of your face disappear. Right there. But if I open both eyes, the other one compensates for it. I don't even notice it. And so they're doing all these tests on me and taking all this blood. And then they're like, all right, we're going to do a spinal tap on you. And I was like, ooh, what's that? And, my mom's like making this real worried face. I'm like, what's that? And they're like, what we're going to do is we're going to measure the pressure of the fluid in your back. And the best way to do that is, like, you ever see those air pressure gauges for tires? You push it in, and then the little piece pops out, and then you read it. It's like that, but for your back. I said, okay, that doesn't sound horrible, I guess.
No, that sounds
and like,
horrible.
and my mom's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what? Stop! What are you doing? Like, you are the worst unhyped man ever. So like, I lay on my back, and they're like, all right, get in the fetal position to kind of spread your spine apart. I'm like, okay, this all makes sense to me. And then the needle was only like this big, but the tube, the syringe part of the tube, was this big, and it had to screw together in several pieces. That way they could see how far out your spinal fluid shot to see what pressure it was under. And they didn't tell me not to go to work that day afterwards. So I went to work, and I'm standing up on my feet and stuff like that. Well, the little hole that they had popped in the back of my spine did not plug itself. It didn't heal up. So I was constantly leaking spinal fluid out into my body, which your body replaces, but just doesn't replace fast enough for all this leaking out. And fun fact, your spinal fluid goes all the way up your back and into your brain, and it's all one big reservoir. So as it was leaking out, my brain no longer had enough fluid to let it float in my head, so it would sag down. And while your brain does not have nerves, it is attached to a lot of nerves on the inside of your skull. And so they're all attached to the inside of my skull, and as my brain would like sink lower because it didn't have enough to float, it pulled on all of those nerves inside my skull.
Oh, man.
And it was the most excruciating pain. And then if you lay down, it instantly went away. Instantly. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'd be reclined like this, and I'd be fine like this. I mean, going to the bathroom, I was doing crab walks, trying to keep my head as flat as possible, like doing like some sort of scary demon walk through the apartment to the bathroom, and just trying to aim it to the tub. I mean, the best you could. And they were like, yeah, we can't see you today. We're kind of all booked up, but we got something next Wednesday. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'll just have to live with this until Wednesday. Awesome. And so they finally, saw me. And, the first time I went, I tried to drive myself. And so I'm like, lean back in the seat, trying to do this number. And it was a super easy fix. All they did was like they took one little vial of blood, and they're like, we're going to stick this in your spine. And as it flows out the hole, it'll clog it up, and you'll be good to go. I'm like, I had to wait another 4 or 5 days for that. I mean, like, y'all couldn't have seen me in the Minute Clinic and done that. I mean, that is so simple. Why did y'all make me suffer that long?
That's insane.
But yeah, then I never
instantly better.
Well, like an hour later, they think it had clogged up enough, and they were like, just go home and take it easy, just sit and relax, don't be walking around, because that's going to put pressure on all that, and that'll pop the little plug out. And I said, bet I'll go home and laid right down. I was like, well, I wish y'all had told me not to go to work that day, because I sure wouldn't have done that. That was some rough stuff.
That is insane.
But how does that compare to like period cramps? I have no idea. I want to know.
I don't.
You know what? Know your limitations. That's good.
I don't want to purposely hurt myself. Now, I did used to enjoy stumping my toe and getting a little pus on the side over there. No. That's horrible.
That is the worst pain a human. I think a human can go. That little pinky toe is attracted to every
Not the
quarter.
big. It's the big one.
Oh,
I did it on the big one, and then like I would get an ingrown toenail and get it infected, and then the pus, and I used to like remove the pus and then cut my toenail. I don't know. I did that a couple of times, but now I'm too old for that crap. You know.
I feel you on that one.
I don't know. What other things that I did? I don't think we used to, this is in school, I think this is in middle school, we used to take this shop class. We took the sandpapers, and they would run around to each other and like,
God, that's horrible.
And one time, I mean, it was so bad. And then we played, the old game Knuckles and all that. I forgot what the other ones. What slaps?
So really, you slap the hand?
Yeah, but that doesn't hurt. I'm talking about stuff that
hurt a little bit.
Well, your period cramps, you can't hold it. That when you go like this, and then you get to punch him. You make the X and you get to punch him. And we did it so much that my whole shoulder was so purple. It was like if you go like this, it touched, and I had to play it off to my parents. Said it happened in football, but it was so bad. It was so horrible.
See, now a teacher sees it, calls CPS.
Oh yeah.
You need to go talk to those Harleys. Child is covered in bruises.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I don't know what else. Stupid stuff. I think that's pretty much. I mean, I did some other stupid stuff.
Oh yeah, there's tons of. That's a whole nother day's worth of stories.
But like physically hurting myself, I think that's it. Oh, fingernails. It doesn't really hurt, but it's definitely. You have this little. Well, I do have this little. Yeah.
I just messed with it earlier today.
Yeah, man. And sometimes you get like a piece of your nail still, and then that comes out, and then it itches really bad, and I'm pretty bad at that too.
We're pretty good at it.
Yeah, see, look at that. This is already starting to heal. But you ever see the one where they're like, and then the whole
had that happen before.
No,
not that far, but I mean, I've pulled it and it'll like go halfway up the thumb, and you're like, oh, that's horrible.
Like right here. Yeah, that is pretty bad. You got to keep pressure on it and Band-Aid and stuff like that. Yeah.
You can feel every germ that touches it. You imagine the tiny little germ just crossing that divide. It's like, ow, it burns.
And then they're like working a restaurant business, so it's like always wet and lemons involved and stuff like that. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Had to go put a mailbox in at work week before last. And I was hammering a spike into the ground and didn't realize it had cut the webbing of my hand a little bit. And wasn't a big deal. But then I was just absentmindedly at the host stand, and I just grabbed some hand sanitizer just to kill the time. Well, I slapped that on, and I was...
Oh, yeah.
Like, I could feel the orange flavor of the go through my blood system. It just makes you... It hurts so much you just kind of twitch, like... Your whole body shuts down. It's just like,
yeah.
Process quietly, please.
Especially if you don't know about it, really.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, yeah. My son used to get his knees scraped up all the time, and then we had that foam stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to watch it. But he was always a trooper. He's always like, oh, that stings, but nothing bad. He didn't cry or anything like that.
Good.
I was like, wow.
I remember as a kid, I could never remember what hurt, the peroxide or the alcohol. And so, like, every single time I was like, I thought you were going to amputate. I mean, I was like, don't let it be the one that hurts. And I was like,
alcohol.
The alcohol hurts, yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently for some people, peroxide hurts too.
Well, I think it's because of the bubble. Well, I'm not sure, but I think it's because of the bubbles. But you know, peroxide is bad to put on wounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it kills off the cells, the living cells, for it to heal.
Only the strong survive.
Yeah,
you know, if it was their time to go.
I put it on there too. So.
The bubbles let me know it kills the germs too. The alcohol just lets me know it kills my stuff.
Oh yeah.
The bubbles are the germs dying.
Yeah, alcohol definitely. That's another story. Like, and you can't get rid of it. That feeling until like later on. But at first, I mean, what are you gonna do? You can't put anything on there.
Yeah.
It's there. Oh, I remember trying to cut a cyst out of my arm.
I remember laying on the bed with my wife trying to cut it out.
She cut it out?
I was like, dig as deep as you can. And it still, I mean, it was the size of a softball underneath my arm. And I went to the doctor eventually because I refuse to go to the doctor because every time I do, they tell me the same thing. Just wait and see if it goes away on its own. I was already planning on that, but now I'm out all this money for you to tell me that? Yeah. I mean, you're supposed to have the care, doc. That's what you go to school for. And so we went, and they were like, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it open. And they just took some scissors, just some regular-looking scissors, and stuck it in and just start opening it up and to try to break it all out. And then they just start, for lack of a better word, just milking it of the worst-smelling stuff that's ever come out of a human body. And then they're like, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to pack it to keep it from getting infected. I said, okay, cool, whatever, as long as this stops hurting. And like a week later, it was back. And I go back there, and I'm like, hey, it didn't take. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, we're going to make sure we don't pack it because you're not supposed to pack it. And I'm like, well, Was there some sort of medical breakthrough in the last week where I was just told that it needed to be? Oh well, some people do and some people don't. What does the book say? What does the book say we should do?
Yeah.
Is there like a senior doctor on staff? Because y'all are just a bunch of nurses. Like, what's the higher up say? Should we consult them? Maybe wake them up a little bit? No, it'll be good this time. I'm like, are you paying the next visit if it's not? I mean, now I've come to you twice for the same thing. But, I mean, props to people that go to medical school, but at the same time, I don't trust them.
I don't like going just because every single time I go, I find out something else was wrong.
It's like a mechanic. They're like, yeah, we replaced your oil, but did you know you had these 12 things other wrong that you need to get fixed?
Exactly.
Just let me slip peacefully away.
Look, I felt fine all the time. I had to go to the bathroom quite often, but otherwise than that, I felt fine. I go to the doctor, I got diabetes, and then I start feeling like crap. I was just fine before I went to the doctor.
Like 13 years ago or something like that, I went to a work conference, and they were like, hey, we'll give you an extra $15 gift card if you'll do this little wellness check. A little pop-up thing. I said, okay, fine.
Was it worth the $15?
Anything is worth $15. All they wanted was a vial of blood and a questionnaire. Yeah, that's $15 worth right there. Give it to me. And then they sent you results back, and they were like, you're borderline pre-diabetic. And I'm like, but not diabetic. And then I just have never gone back to the doctor since.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
My wife's like, oh, you definitely have diabetes. I'm like, nope. As far as I know, I have pre-diabetes. And I'm like, whatever I'm doing, I've managed to not kill myself this long. So why would I start taking insulin and all this other kind of stuff? I could just mess that
horrible.
up.
Yeah. It's so bad. It sucks.
I'll just keep on keeping on. And I'll either feel good or I'll feel bad.
No, yeah, like I said, I felt fine before that. And now it's like, total different mood.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure, all that affects you, like, mentally. Now there's something wrong with it, and you're thinking about it, and you're like, oh, my gosh, now I got this I got to deal with. Instead of, like, oh, just a bummy day today.
And before, I didn't like cake. Now I crave it. I don't even like cake.
I only like cake. I don't like the frosting. So, like, as soon as we are at a party, like, I'll look at my wife, and I'll give her the look, and she'll give me the look. And I pass her the cupcake, and she eats all the frosting and just gives me the sweet muffin that's left. And I'm like...
That's horrible.
Give me the cake.
I'd rather have the frosting.
We buy all the cake. She's eating the frosting out of the tub. I'm just eating a plain cake. It's got the funfetti inside.
Yeah, the funfetti is pretty good cake.
That's my favorite cake.
Mine is... I don't know. I don't really like cake.
Funfetti cake with a rainbow chip icing. If you have icing, it needs to be rainbow chip and very thin layer. Oh, so good.
No, what's that? Cream
cheese.
Ooh, cream cheese.
I don't know if I like that or not. My wife has learned to just not tell me what things are and just be like, eat this, you'll love it. Ooh, that's the good one. I like that. Excellent.
Yes.
And someone's like, oh, is that cream? Shh, be quiet. He doesn't need to know. I'm just blissful ignorance eating it. This is good soup. Don't tell him what's in it.
MSG. I got some.
Monosodium glutamate?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in a little... It tastes disgusting.
Yeah, probably.
By itself. I don't know. In food.
Same with salt. I mean, salt's a flavor enhancer like that is.
Salt is amazing.
By itself?
Yeah. I could just eat salt.
My stepsister used to just eat salt. I remember, like, when I would go to my dad's and, like, she would be talking on her clear phone that everybody had, the home phone. And she would be in there talking to her girlfriends, and she would just pour a pile of salt into her hand.
What kind of salt?
Just table salt from the shaker.
No,
and goes,
I like big crystals.
And then like the big flake salt?
Yeah. Flaky salt.
Yeah, no, she would just do a straight shot of salt and then follow it with a Mountain Dew. And I'm like,
ooh. Ooh. I don't know with that.
Yeah, that ain't my favorite. That ain't my Jimmy Jam.
No, mine. I do like salt. And probably another bad thing for me, diabetes, high blood pressure, all of that could, I guess, connects with each other. What else? Sickle cell? I don't have sickle cell. I'm just
dodge that bullet.
I'm just naming stuff off right now. I don't know. Try to be healthy, but it doesn't really work.
Well, you know,
And I don't want to be I don't want to be unhealthy and then.
Well, there's unhealthy and happy, or healthy and unhappy.
Yeah.
What was that? Was it George Carlin? I think that, or maybe it was Sam Kinison. I can't remember. One of the comedians. They were talking about. They felt bad for their friend. You know, he always ate. He ate right. He never drank, never smoked, never did anything. And he's like, you know, I feel bad for him. He never knows what's going to kill him. You know, it's just going to happen out of the blue sometime, and he'll never know. He's like, me, I know exactly what's going to take me out.
I don't know. Mine is probably food.
That's what I'm thinking too. I was, you know, working in the restaurant. I was getting down to about one meal a day, and I was like, you know, I should probably be losing a little bit of weight. I'm on my feet. I only eat really once a day, and then I weighed myself, and I was exactly the same. And I was like, well, that's just so weird. Then I started thinking about it, and I was like,
You snacking throughout the whole entire day.
I was like, at the end of the night, my like little comfort food, as I'll bring home a cheesecake from work. I looked up the nutrition for the cheesecake. One cheesecake, the little single serving, 1,300 calories.
Shout out.
I'm like, that is almost a full day of calories in one dessert treat. And then you add in the meal I have. I'm like, cool, I just had 3 meals worth of calories in a meal and a dessert.
There you go. Well, me and Dave used to put stuff together all the time, and it had to be so horrible. I mean, we made a chocolate shake out of the molten lava cake and stuff like that, and added stuff to it, and have like candied bacon. And I remember us calculating up one time what we had. I think it was like 5,000 calories for that day. So it was delicious though.
Yeah, we do the same thing with our chocolate stampede. It's got like 7 different types of chocolate. Like, put 2 of those in the blender, some ice cream and some whole milk, and like some chocolate and caramel.
So delicious.
Blend it all up, and everybody's like, give me a cup. Not great for you at all.
No. Sure. Now I can say with this wonderful diabetes that I have, my body literally shuts down itself. So what?
That's a good safety mechanism.
We, I forgot whose birthday it was. Somebody's birthday. I think it was Michaela's birthday, and we made some pina coladas. And I had a cup. I had a great cup. And I go, I'm gonna go lay down. And I was knocked out. I didn't know what happened, or like it's and I can feel it if I eat too much sweets and stuff like that. I feel it in my eyes. That's where it starts off, and it's like it feels like they're about to like bulge out and stuff like that. So I know it's like, oh man, I got too much sugar going on. Yeah, and then like not having enough sugar. I think that happened to me like 3 times. That's a weird sensation. It totally messes you up. You can't think anymore. Like even if you would say 1 + 1 during that time, I couldn't tell you it was 2. It just
You're real foggy.
Yeah, it's weird. You don't. The first time it happened, I didn't know what was going. I thought it was because of what I was watching on TV. I felt like excited, like my heart rate was like going real fast. My hands are clammy and stuff like that. And then after a while, like the TV show stopped and something else, because I was watching stuff about cars. So I thought I was excited. You know, fast cars, Fast and Furious, yada yada yada. But then the show was over with, and I still felt the same way. And I go, oh man, this is like 2:00 in the morning. And I knock on the door, my wife's door, and I go, hey, I'm not exactly sure, but I might be passing out in the next couple of seconds. I didn't, but
where do you want my body to collapse at? What would be easiest for you?
Yeah,
I'm laying on a rug now, so you can just drag the rug. Ain't no way Alyssa's out picking you up off the ground.
Yeah, so that
just
time. And
keep a little dolly cart in the garage. I'm gonna go lay down on the cart just in case.
Just roll me out.
Wheel me up the driveway real easy like.
Oh man, I guess I can. Ooh, if I wanted to do what we were saying before, I'd just be by myself and just eat every sugary.
I wondered why that wasn't like done more often. Like, just go out with the most everything you wanted to eat. Just go to town on it.
Yeah, because it doesn't hurt. I just get tired and go to sleep.
Let's go to that diabetic coma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody messes with you. I mean,
true.
eventually. How fast? How long can you last in a diabetic coma? That's the question.
I don't know.
Or do you eventually get back out of it? because your body's gonna
I
try to
guess
regulate.
I guess it depends on how far your stuff has gone. Your not kidneys, but liver? No. What's the one that does the insulin?
Gallbladder? No,
No, that's the bile.
I don't know. I don't remember.
All right, we might need to phone a doctor. I'll take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, one of those organs. Yeah, I don't know.
Pancreas.
Pancreas. That
Found
is
it.
correct.
I
Yeah.
knew it was in there somewhere. Bubbling up from my high school days.
Don't, bro. Yeah. So that would be fun. I mean, just eat yourself until I will be happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
I could do that. Just enjoy all the foods that you really like,
Mm-hmm.
and then that'll be it. I wouldn't have an Irish wake if I
I don't
died.
know what that is.
When you go to the bar,
Oh, gotcha.
well, you don't go to the bar because, yeah. But
They just bring you with them. Just set it up.
yeah, I don't know. That'd be cool though. Everybody just kind of enjoys. I like
Mm-hmm.
drinking alcohol and stuff like that. So if everybody can enjoy it there, that'd be kind of cool. I don't know. I'm so ill prepared for something happening to me. As much as I think about all that stuff.
We've talked, the wife and I were talking about, we're like, you know what? Just a cremation in the backyard is fine. Don't spend any money on the funeral.
That's how I feel.
I'm like, I swear to God, if you buy me a whole funeral plot to put my body in, I don't see why we would start burying people standing up. I mean, like, it just takes up so much less room.
Yeah, it does.
Plant them like flowers.
Yeah, and I don't know how the graves really work. I went to Germany and went to my grandparents' grave, but it seemed really short. So I don't know if they were short and I just remember them being taller.
Do you feel like
I don't know.
there should be more graveyards than there are for as many people have died?
Well, I'm pretty sure they're like move them.
Well, at what point? Like, how
I
old?
don't know.
But, like, you'll see graveyards that are like, this cemetery is 200 years old. I'm like, okay. And there's like 13 bodies in it. I'm like, okay, but where's the rest of them? I mean, there's like 8 billion people on this planet. And how many people have died before this year? I mean, in history.
Yeah.
How many people in this city have died in the past 10 years? I feel like the 3
No, they
graveyards
take-
that I know of should be like stacked.
The one over there is huge. It's like
Huge, but not
different
like.
section.
I guess it's a big town
I
with a
guess-
lot of
yeah,
people.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm like, people dying every day. Maybe, I mean, like, and you're talking about for decades we have to just keep these things around? I mean, like, how long is.
Yeah, I think they if nobody cares for them after a while, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what the time span is, but they boot it after the payment goes because I think you still have to pay the whole entire time. Somebody has to pay.
Well, I thought you owned that, like, 3 square feet of land or whatever.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
My grandparents got moved,
Gotcha. Ooh.
like from here to over here.
Huh.
The whole thing.
Dang,
I was
that's
like, oh,
wild.
man.
I wonder if anybody knows.
Maybe it's
Sound
like
off in the comments.
slot 1 is when you first die,
Uh-huh.
and then 10 years you move to this, and then after 10 years you move to that, and then you're out.
Yeah, keep the premium spots for
Yeah.
like, the new people. I don't know. That's wild.
That is a good question. What happened? I'm
Because,
pretty
like-
sure they get rid of the bodies though.
I don't know. I don't think they're allowed to. I know my grandparents and they've been there. My grandmother died when I was like 8. She's still in the same spot,
Yeah.
but it's a smaller town. But at the same time, like, I just feel like we should just be up to our necks in bodies in this country, like with all the people that have died.
Yeah.
Let's say from, a little after the Civil War on, because I'm sure back then it was just a lot of mass graves, and they didn't really burn people back then, but they didn't have a lot of marked graves. They would just put a little wooden cross down, and that fell over, and nobody remembered you were there. But
Yeah.
okay, let's say the past 200 years, I feel like there have been millions of bodies somewhere. I don't know where they're put, but they're somewhere, shouldn't they be? Or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I go to the cemetery, and there's like 500 graves. I'm like, that's a lot, but like, that's not a lot. That's not enough. It feels like.
Yeah, but how much land is out there?
Well, it's surrounded by stuff. Like the cemetery is like surrounded by city. There's nowhere for it to expand. What, are they gonna start putting them in the Masters golf course?
maybe that spot is done, so you have to pick another one. So you might be out of town at that point, or you have to. I mean, how many cemeteries are there in Augusta?
I can think of I'm sure there's more, but I can think of 3.
I can only think of 3 also.
But okay, you just have to go get buried out of town now.
I mean, it was full if there's no more land.
I guess, but how have we not done that already?
I don't know.
You can still buy cemetery plots out there. What's going on? What's the racket? There's got to be some sort. Now I want to get a job at a funeral home or a cemetery just so you'll get the
find
tea.
out the inside scoop.
Yeah, employees like to talk amongst themselves. Oh, it's been 75 years. Let's go dig up Johnson. You know, I mean,
see, that's what I think is happening.
Are you ever allowed to look inside the coffin? If you're getting rid of the body, you're not gonna take it with them.
My
got a dope ring. I mean,
conspiracy
what's
theory
happening?
is, so you have the funeral home, right, and it's kind of filled up, or you got a couple of spots or whatever, and then you notice that somebody hasn't shown up in the last 20 years. It's time to get rid of that spot. You got a new spot open.
You can make some money off of it.
Yeah.
My mom has picked out an urn. Her dog died last year. She picked out an urn, and she said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, it's really not up to me. I'm not going to look at it. It's not going to my house. It's your house. So you pick what you like. It was your most favorite dog in the world. What are you going to like looking at?" And she's like, "Well, that's right." And she's, "Well, it doesn't really matter. It's going to get buried with me anyway." And she's like, "If you didn't know, I put that in my will that you were to bury the urn with me in my casket." And I was like, "Okay, well, do you know what you're going to wear?" And she's like, "Why would you say that?" I'm like, "To match it with your outfit. I mean, you don't want to clash if I got to set it next to you. I mean, match together, Think about that. Go ahead and pick you out a suit or something, She said, we got to talking about tattoos, and I got a tattoo when we went to Salem, and she goes, "I've always wanted a tattoo, but I've just been so scared to get one. I mean, they are permanent." And I said, "Well, Mom, it's not that permanent for you, And she's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, you're in your 60s. I mean, it's not that permanent. I mean, it's 20, 30 years at most. I mean, And she's like, "Why would you say that?" I'm like, "I'm just saying, go for it." She wants a cross on her foot. I mean, okay, you're not going anything wild that you're going to regret.
Yeah.
Are you all of a sudden going to renounce your religion in the next 20 years? I doubt it. So you're pretty safe, And it's not like it's a neck tattoo or anything like that. It's the top of your foot, a small cross.
I heard stuff.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
And she looked it all up, and she, talked to all these people, and she just cannot pull that trigger. And I'm like, "Mom, just get it. Just do it."
Go with her. She'll probably do it at that point.
I doubt it.
No?
But I was like, it's not that permanent for you, Mom.
That's horrible.
Well, I was meaning it as, go for it.
Yeah.
Take the jump. Worst case scenario, you live with it 20 years.
Oh, man.
She didn't appreciate that.
No, I can only. I don't know what my mom would have done if I would have said that. She would have.
I'm sure part of the will got edited that day. Just started striking stuff out.
Oh man.
She keeps talking about. She was like, "I said, you ever thought about selling your house and moving somewhere? Now that, my stepdad's passed, I was like, travel, visit, anywhere you want in the world. You can literally do anything now that you're retired.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere and not be beholden to anyone." And she's like, "Oh, I'm not leaving here. You're going to have to carry me out of this on a stretcher." And I was like, "Okay. That's the kind of humor we're going with. Okay, all right." And then she was like, "Hey, will you come help me paint the workshop?" And I was like, "Mom, I'm a little offended that you didn't even ask me what color I wanted." She's like, "Why would I ask you what color?" I'm like, "Because it's going to be mine when you pass. I don't have to paint it again. This is a lot of work. I got to move everything out, paint the floor." And she's like, "I can't believe you'd say that. You brought it up."
You strike deep.
Well, our family's been very bold comedically. That's what I've grown up with. So my uncle was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and he was going to be let go he worked at the not Kimberly Clark. What's the other one?
SRS.
No, this is back in Albany.
I hate Albany.
It's a paper place. Anyway, they make paper towels and stuff. It might have been Kimberly Clark. No, it starts with a P. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
I know what you're talking about. We got one. Yeah.
And he was going to get Lego because he couldn't operate the machinery. And I said, you could always work at Home Depot or Lowe's. They'll always have a job for you. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you could work in the paint department, and they could just give you a can of paint, and you could just shake it up all the time. He has the best barbecue recipe you've ever tried. I mean, it's all homemade, and he will not give the recipe to anyone.
Oh, it's going to go away.
That's what I said. I said, you've got to give it to somebody. I don't care if you write it down and
yeah,
put it in
that's
the
what
safe,
he needs to do.
and nobody reads it until after you are gone, whatever. But you need to write it down. It's too good not to do anything with. And he's like, well, I've got it written down in a couple of places. And I said, okay, well, here's what you need to do first off. Your first step, you need to make a bunch of batches. And then that way you've got the next few years of Christmas gifts you can get, because he makes them in those big ketchup containers and then gives them out as Christmas gifts. And he's like, why do I need to do that? I'm like, well, you need to do it now, because you're not going to be able to put in just a shake of something later on. It's going to be a shake, 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 shake. You're not putting one bay leaf. It's going to be whatever you grab.
Why so salty?
I'm like, you got to keep these proportions, right, Uncle Ken. You gotta follow the recipe, and you can't do that if you can't, just ask for help or give the recipe away,
I made a barbecue sauce one time. It was delicious. I made it with Macallan, but I drank too much, so I don't remember what's all in there. It's like a little bit for the barbecue sauce, a little bit for me.
It was probably absolutely terrible.
No, it was. I brought it to work, and
okay.
some of the people that the guests, they were like, "You need to market this," and I go, "I wish I could. I have no idea what's in there." It was great. And I tried it again. It wasn't the same.
You should just try it with different ones.
Yeah.
I made a great vodka sauce with drinking vodka.
What I needed to do is record it while I'm doing it.
Yeah,
there you go. So no matter what, I'll have
You'll always have it. If nothing else, you'll have a good video to watch. I know what's not in it. I'm not putting all of this in it.
Measurements. No, and most of the time when I cook, I don't use measurements anyways. I just feel.
That's what my wife says. Season until your ancestors say when. And I'm like, I don't know my ancestors. She's like, that's why you don't season anything.
Alyssa doesn't either.
I'm like, I like to taste the flavor of the meat. She goes, there is no flavor. It's just meat.
She goes, I forgot what she was making something, and then she put salt in there, and she goes, do you think that's enough? And I go, no. Add some more. And then she's like, add some more, and then I go, a little bit more.
Triple it. I was outlawed for making spaghetti at the house because the wife was sick, and I made some for dinner, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, it's not bad, it's not bad." And she came out and she's feeling a little better, and she's like, "Did you put any seasoning in this?" I said, "No, all the seasoning comes in the jar." She goes, "What do you mean the seasoning comes in the jar?" I'm like, when they came up with that recipe for that Prego or whatever, they put you can see the seasonings in there. Yeah. They're floating right there. You don't need to add anything.
I don't either, though.
She's like, salt? I'm like, no, they put salt already in there. What about, some of this? She's like listing off all these ingredients. I'm like, no, it's a one-stop shop. The jar is everything you need. Did you season the meat? Well, the sauce was seasoned, so I'm going to put that on the meat. Now the meat is seasoned with sauce.
No.
She's like, you never making spaghetti again.
You do have to season the meat, but the sauce, I 100% agree with you. The sauce has a lot of salt in it.
She doesn't use anything that doesn't get modified. She'll if she opens up a sauce, it's gonna be all right. Now we're adding some Italian, or we're adding some I don't know, oregano. I don't know what you put in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, she'll make it her own every single time, and it tastes fantastic. But I've just always been sauce plus noodle equals spaghetti. Done.
You put salt in the spaghetti?
No. I mean, I do now.
You just boiled blasphemy. You don't put salt in the water with...
I did not for many years. I do now because she has shamed me into doing it.
Yeah. No.
I don't think I can taste the difference. I do it just so I don't have to hear her shame me. You didn't salt the water? No.
Oh, man.
Like when I make my Velveeta, I won't put anything in the water. I'll just boil the water, put the noodles, and then put the cheese. And she's like, why didn't you salt the water? I'm like, well, the cheese is kind of salty already, so like that's enough, right? She's like, no.
No, man, you hurt me a little bit.
I get that a lot.
The one that only eats chicken nuggets for a while. Oh, what is it? No, there was a pizza, the little pizza. What do you call it?
Versatile pans?
Pizza, the little
Oh, bagel bites.
bagel bites. You used to-
I didn't have those until I was like over 10. We just never had them, and that my friends would have them, but then they didn't have mushrooms on them, so I didn't want to eat them. I like mushrooms. I was expecting like a tiny little pizza with everything
like
on it.
legit, yeah. Mighty meaty pizza on over there. Where's the salami at? No. I don't know. Anyways, what is that? Oh shoot.
It's almost time to pick up the kids from school.
So with that being said, I guess thanks for watching. Thanks for joining.
No problem. You made it all the way to the end.
I know. Man, it's
3
it's
hours.
a couple hours long.
3 hour.
I might have to break this up a little bit. It's like this might be like 4 episodes or something.
Gotcha.
Something like that.
So make sure you subscribe so you get all the parts.
The first part is straight up just for work. That could probably be like its own video, you know?
Oh, but there's so much more for work. I mean, there's so many stories.
We need to come up, or we need to do this one with just like stories back at work.
I have the security videos. I always seem to fall on security camera at work. So like, I'll be at work and I'll be like, hey, you want to see me fall in the kitchen at Hooters? And they'll be like, yeah, sure. And I'll pull it up on my phone. Like, I slipped on a garden hose and you see me just flat out in the air before. And I make the weirdest face too. It's so funny.
I haven't fallen that many times. I felt with tea pitchers. Tea all over the place.
I was at GameStop and I fell off the counter and landed on the safe. And the hinge went right up my crack. And I thought I broke my ass bone. Like, I was like, I don't know what it is, but like, I think it's broke. I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to have one of those cast diapers on for like 6 months. And so I'm like laying on the ground, just like writhing in pain. And this guy comes up, he's like, can you check me out? I'm like, did you not see me fall like 4 feet? He's
Don't give a crap.
He was like, no.
You owe me 35 cents.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'll be right there. Like, I just had to just hobble up and just, here you go.
Can you check me out?
Yeah. But anyway, I appreciate you having me. If
thank
you ever want to do it again, just let me know.
Yeah, definitely.
We got 15 years worth of stuff we can
I
talk
know,
about.
right? Well, thanks. And with that being said, thanks for watching or listening. Like and subscribe. We are YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all those fantastic places. I guess now it'd be Spotify or something like that, right?
On Spotify now, okay.
Well, not yet, but
Coming soon onto Spotify.
Apple Tunes.
iTunes, I think they call that now.
Okay, I don't know anything Apple, but you know, if they want to sponsor me, I will learn some stuff.
Bet.
But anyways, thanks for watching, listening, like and subscribe, and as always, serve it neat.
Serve it neat.
I think the other battery died. It's like I don't have a 3-hour lifespan. Oh shoot.
I definitely had to, bite my tongue on that one.